Continue the procedure. No anesthesia. Record the reaction. The order echoed inside a brick laboratory in Harbin, Manchuria, sometime in the winter of 1938. Outside, temperatures dropped below -20 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside, a man lay restrained on a steel table, alive, conscious, dissected for data. His name was never recorded. He was labeled Maruta. Log. History does not remember him. But it remembers the man who gave the order. This is not a list of cartoon villains with wild hair and lightning bolts in the background. These were decorated doctors, university-trained biologists, government-funded researchers, men who wore suits, uniforms, lab coats, and they crossed a line 10 times, in 10 different places. And each time, the world looked the other way, at least for a while. The first was Shiro Ishii. Born June 25, 1892, in Chiyoda, Japan, Ishii became the architect of Unit 731, officially known as the Epidemic Prevention and Water Purification Department of the Kwantung Army. The facility was located in Pingfang, near Harbin, at approximately 45.75 degree north, 126.63 degree east. From 1936 to 1945, Ishii oversaw biological warfare experiments on thousands of prisoners, Chinese civilians, Koreans, Soviet POWs. Victims were infected with plague, cholera, anthrax. They were vivisected without anesthesia. Frostbite experiments were conducted by exposing limbs to sub-zero air until tissue crystallized. On August 6, 1945, Hiroshima was bombed. On August 9th, Nagasaki followed. Japan surrendered. Ishii ordered Unit 731 destroyed, documents burned, prisoners executed. And yet, according to U.S. National Archives Record Group 331, American intelligence granted Ishii immunity in exchange for data. He died in 1959. Never tried. The second was Josef Mengele. Born March 16, 1911, in Günzburg, Germany, Mengele served as an SS physician at Auschwitz-Birkenau beginning in May 1943. Coordinates: approximately 50.0359 degree N, 19.1783 degree E. He selected prisoners for gas chambers and conducted experiments on twins, dwarfs, and pregnant women. Eyes were injected with chemicals in attempts to alter color. Children were sewn together in grotesque twin experiments. After the war, Mengele escaped to Argentina on July 17, 1949. He drowned off the coast of Bertioga, Brazil on February 7, 1979. Never stood trial. The third was Sidney Gottlieb. Born August 3, 1918. Chief chemist of the CIA's Technical Services Staff. On April 13, 1953, CIA Director Alan Dulles authorized Project MKUltra. Under Gottlieb's direction, LSD was administered to unwitting Americans. Frank Olson, a biochemist, was secretly dosed in November 1953. On November 28, 1953, Olson fell from room 1018A of the Statler Hotel in New York City, approximately 40.7505 degree N, 73.9934 degree W. The CIA concealed the dosing for 22 years. Gottlieb retired quietly in 1972. No criminal charges. The fourth was J. Marion Sims, born January 25, 1813, often called the father of modern gynecology. Between 1845 and 1849 in Montgomery, Alabama, approximately 32.3668 degree N, 86.3000 degree W. Sims performed experimental surgeries on enslaved black women, including Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy. No anesthesia. Repeated procedures. He later gained fame in New York. Statues were erected in his honor. They were removed in 2018. The fifth was Ilya Ivanov, born July 20th, 1870. In 1926, funded by the Soviet Academy of Sciences, Ivanov traveled to French Guinea to attempt creating a human-chimpanzee hybrid. Coordinates near Kindia, approximately 10.05 degree N, 12.87 degree W. He inseminated female chimpanzees with human sperm. He later sought permission to inseminate human women with chimpanzee sperm at a primate center in Sukhumi, Georgia. No hybrid was born. He died in exile in 1932. The line he crossed was not successful, but it was funded. The sixth was Robert J. White. Born January 21, 1926. On May 14, 1970, at Metro Health Medical Center in Cleveland, Ohio, approximately 41.5048 degree N, 81.6086 degree W. White transplanted the head of one rhesus monkey onto another's body. The head regained consciousness. It could see. It could hear. It could not move. The spinal cord was severed. The monkey survived 8 days. White publicly stated that human application was technically possible. The seventh was Donald Ewan Cameron, born December 24, 1901. At the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal between 1957 and 1964, Cameron conducted CIA-funded experiments under MKUltra subprojects. Patients were placed into drug-induced comas. Electroconvulsive therapy was administered at extreme levels. Psychic driving involved looping recorded messages for weeks. Patients entered with minor mental health issues. Some left unable to recognize their families. The eighth was Tetsuo Ishii, no relation to Shiro Ishii, a Japanese surgeon who in the early 1940s reportedly conducted amputation and blood loss experiments on prisoners in China under Imperial Army medical units. His documented involvement appears in war crime testimony archives from post-war Chinese tribunals. While less infamous globally, his actions reflected a broader culture of militarized medicine. The ninth was Henry Cotton, born May 12, 1876. In the early 1900s at Trenton State Hospital in New Jersey, approximately 40.2206 degree N, 74.7597 degree W, Cotton believed mental illness was caused by hidden infections. He removed patients' teeth, then tonsils, then stomachs, and colons. Mortality rates soared. Some estimates suggest up to 45% of his surgical patients died. He was praised in his time. The 10th was Werner von Braun, born March 23, 1912. Chief rocket engineer for Nazi Germany's V-2 missile program at Peenemünde, approximately 54.1450 degree N, 13.7640 degree E. The rockets were built using forced labor from concentration camp prisoners at Mittelbau-Dora. Over 20,000 prisoners died producing the weapons. After World War II, von Braun was brought to the United States under Operation Paperclip in 1945. He later became a central figure in NASA's Saturn V rocket program. His work helped land astronauts on the moon on July 20, 1969. Progress built on bones. These 10 individuals did not all operate in secrecy. Some were celebrated, awarded, funded. The pattern is what matters. Each believed their work justified the means. Wartime necessity, scientific curiosity, medical advancement, national pride. The psychological thread is ambition untethered from empathy. Ishii believed biological warfare would secure Japan's dominance. Mengele believed racial pseudoscience could prove supremacy. Gottlieb believed mind control was essential to win the Cold War. Sims believed enslaved women's suffering was secondary to surgical innovation. Cotton believed infection was the root of madness. White believed consciousness could be preserved independent of the body. Von Braun believed rocketry transcended politics. The climax is not a single atrocity. It is the realization that many of these men continued their careers, that institutions shielded them, that governments calculated strategic value over justice. Declassified documents, archived under CIA FOIA releases, National Archives RG 331, and Nuremberg trial transcripts confirm that immunity deals were made. The world condemned Nazi doctors in the Nuremberg trials beginning December 9, 1946. Yet others were quietly absorbed into new systems. The aftermath is complex. Medical ethics codes were strengthened. The Nuremberg Code established voluntary consent standards. Institutional review boards were created in the United States after the National Research Act of 1974. Statues were removed. Apologies issued. But the laboratories remain. Peenemünde is now a museum. Pingfang is preserved as a memorial. Trenton State Hospital's buildings were repurposed. Metro Health still operates. NASA launches rockets. History does not erase. It integrates. The final unsettling truth is this. None of these men saw themselves as villains. They saw themselves as pioneers. That is what makes them dangerous. Because the most catastrophic scientific abuses are not born from chaos. They are born from conviction. And somewhere in an archive box, stamped and sealed, the paperwork still exists. Proof that the line was visible, and they stepped over it anyway. The next breakthrough might be one decision away from crossing it again.